So I know I didn't get to drop a full-blown episode of Warframe Wednesday for you guys yesterday. However, I always have a few smaller discussions put aside for a rainy day. And since it's been raining for the last 3 days, and I still want to talk Warframe with you guys this week, I figured we'd pull one of those rainy discussions out of their rainy discussion drawer and bring them here onto YouTube. Just something small, something that I've been thinking quite a bit about that has connected to me as a Warframe player, but also as someone looking to create content for the game. And that's actually where I want to start. I know a lot of you are out there and you're asking me to make more Warframe content. Tony, can you make 2 videos a week? Can you make 3 videos a week? And I'll be straight with you guys, it's hard enough for me to make 1 video a week. The reality is, I don't put a lot of time into Warframe each and every week. I just simply don't have that time. So, you know, I play maybe 5, sometimes 10 hours a week, sometimes a little bit more than that. But my time in general with Warframe Weekly is pretty limited. So that means I'm slowly progressing through the game. So when I do make a video on Warframe Wednesday, I usually want to make sure that it has as much value as it can for both veteran and new players, which is why I tend to tie it to a part of my personal progression story. Like, oh, here's what I think of this game mode. Here's what I think of how I've had to deal with this mechanic or this piece of gameplay design, right? I want that value to always be there. But that severely limits, because of the limited time I have to put into the game, my knowledge of the game, and therefore the amount of content I can create for it. You know, I'm not in a position like iFlynn or Tactical Potato. I can't pump out like weapon guides and mod discussions because I simply don't have, maybe not always the knowledge. I feel like I do have a lot of the knowledge now. I've learned a lot more, but I definitely don't have the actual inventory, the actual materials, the mods themselves, to have a discussion about a weapon and feel like I can talk about the maximum value potential of that weapon. And that's the beautiful thing about Warframe. That's what I want to talk about. That's what ties into the title of this video, the whole concept of Warframe's weaponry and in the Warframes themselves being rather deceptive, especially to new players. When I first started Warframe, I remember it vividly now, I played with a lot of weapons that I felt were straight garbage. You know, like the earlier weapons that I was given, the weapons that I acquired, was just like, why does everything feel terrible here? You know, it's like the moment I go to a zone where I should be, that's like, you know, same level as my stuff, I just get trashed. I didn't understand the potency, the potential of those weapons when you started modding them, right? And again, that's kind of the position I'm in when it comes to maybe making content like that. I could probably do like first impressions, early discussions, my thoughts on specific Warframes and their powers and how their powers work, but I would never be able to paint the entire picture. I would never be able to say, oh, here's, you know, the power potential of this Warframe and that Warframe if you mod it that way, because I don't have the necessary mods to create the best possible mod combination for any of the Warframes I currently have in my inventory or any of the weapons I currently have in my inventory. Again, though, that's highlighted one of my favorite parts of Warframe. I love that I can pick up the Heck or the Baza and spend potentially 10 to 30 hours with that weapon, you know, killing mobs within my level range, working with other players, not having to worry about the power potential of that weapon because I'm not soloing, and never tap into the full potential of it. You know, be a long way from getting the necessary mods to make that weapon the best it can possibly be. I think it is one of the more interesting parts of that early game learning curve for new players, because once they do realize the power and the potential of modding, it opens up a whole new world. But it is also one of the most difficult aspects of the game, I think, is really understanding why your weapons probably suck as a new player, and wrapping your head around how you can make them better. Now, for me, I don't have a lot of mods. Again, I don't have this huge pool of mods, which is why I often see people posting comments like, Tony, it's so painful to watch you fight stuff. It takes forever to kill things. That's just where I'm at, guys. You know, that's where I'm going to be at. And for me, that's actually been a huge part of my personal fun factor for Warframe. It's also been one of the reasons that I think I have found modding a little bit easier to understand as I've learned it than maybe some other newer players have. I'm not overwhelmed by this giant pool of mods. I have the basic mods. I have a basic understanding for how to increase damage output, crit, you know, slash different damage types and things like that, how to deal with the different energy damage types as well to get the most in different situations against certain enemies. I have this very basic pool to work with. So I, as a newer player, you know, take my Baza, take my Heck, I go to Simony, I go do some credit farming, I level it up, and then I see what it functions like with very basic mods, right? You know, I just start putting damage mod on it, I put a crit mod on it maybe I look at its reload speed and stuff like that, And I get to just kind of have a very clear presentation for myself of how I'm affecting that weapon, how I'm improving it, how I'm making it better with these mods. And that has made it really easy for me to understand, oh, well, these are the mods I want to acquire down the line to finish that build. You know, I've never found myself in a position where all of a sudden I feel really overwhelmed and I'm just like, what mods do I want to get? You know, I've been able to develop a really clear understanding of that because I've been able to work with what I have, been able to work with that limited pool and make the best of what I got. And again, that's been a really enjoyable part of Warframe for me. I love the way the modding system works because of that untapped potential you have behind each and every weapon that you gain access to. And the fact that that potential could remain untapped for, you know, hundreds of hours, depending on how you devote your time in Warframe, how much time you spend actually trying to acquire mods or trading for mods, so on and so forth. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to have a very non-linear progression system built into something that is very integral to the core gameplay experience, in this case, weapons and Warframes. Most games follow a very linear path, like, use that weapon, it gets better. Oh, hey, you unlock some stuff for that weapon because you used it. Not at all Warframe, and I love that about the game. I find that to be a very interesting design decision that I think, again, drives a lot of Warframe's variety, diversity, and player choice. It's a huge part that has made the game as enjoyable as it has been for me, without a doubt. Now, the big question I have for you guys as we walk away today, you vets out there, especially you guys who have put hundreds and hundreds of hours into the game, I want you to think of a weapon that you remember using earlier days, before you modded it, and absolutely hated it. You know, let me know the weapon that you picked up, you used it, and you're like, this thing is awful. But then, sometime down the line, you picked it up again, and maybe you modded it a bit differently. Maybe you modded it properly, or the way you wanted to mod it for the very first time, and suddenly you fell in love with that weapon. Those are the stories I'm looking for you guys to share today. So, how did you first use that weapon? Why did you think it was awful? Why didn't you like it? And how did you eventually come full circle to mod it and turn it into one of your all-time favorite weapons? It's just one of those stories that I know you veteran players are going to have, because I can just see how that can happen already. I know I had weapons that I used even as a new player, and I was like, this thing is awful. And then I just got a few basic mods on it, and I was like, this thing is beautiful. This is actually pretty solid. I can see how this could really kick some ass. So please, let me know down in the comment section below, guys. I will see you tomorrow for more content, later today for more content, and next week, of course, for more Warframe Wednesdays.
You have been brought here for a purpose, the most important task of your lives.